Initiation into Hermetics by Franz Bardon. The roughly material plane, or the material world. In this chapter, I will not describe the roughly material world, the kingdoms of minerals, vegetables, and animals, nor will I deal with the physical processes in nature, because everybody has already learned at school that there are things such as the North and the South Pole, how rain originates, how storms are brought about, etc. The incipient adept might not be so very interested in these occurrences. He will rather endeavour to know all about the material world by means of the elements and their polarities. It is needless to mention that on our planet there are fire, water, air, and earth, a fact absolutely clear to each reasonable thinking person. Notwithstanding, it will be very useful if the adept becomes acquainted with the cause and the effect of the four elements and knows how to use them correctly according to the corresponding analogies on the other planes. How it is possible to contact higher planes through knowing the grossly material elements will be reserved to a further chapter dealing with the practical use of magic. At the moment, it is important to know that on our earth, the working of elements in the most subtle form is evolving off in exactly the same manner as in the human body. By drawing analogies to the human body, one will certainly find out how to draw the parallel to the elements and state that the analogy with the human body seems justified. In the chapter relative to the body, we have been discussing the mode of life and the functions of the elements with respect to the body, and if the adept succeeds in using the elements in the most subtle form, he will already be able to achieve wondrous things on his own body. And not only this, he can, in all conscience, affirm that nothing is impossible in this respect. The earthly element implies the four-pole magnet with its polarity and the effect of the other elements. The fiery principle in its active form causes the vivifying principle in nature, and in negative form the destructive and disintegrating one. The principle of water in its negative form is operating the contrary effect. The principle of air with its bipolar polarity represents the neutral, the balancing, and the preserving essence in nature. The earthy element, according to its peculiarity of cohesion, has as a basis the two great fundamental elements of fire and water, together with the neutralization of the airy principle. Hence it must be regarded as the most grossly material element. By the interaction of the fiery and the watery element, we have, as already mentioned in connection with the body, got the magnetic and the electric fluid. The two basic fluids originating according to the same laws in the body and having their mutual effects. Both these elements with their fluids are the cause of all that happens materially on our earth. They influence all the chemical processes inside and outside of the earth in the kingdoms of minerals, plants, and animals. Hence you see that the electric fluid is to be found in the centre of the earth, whereas the magnetic one is on the surface of our earth. This magnetic fluid of the Earth's surface, apart from the property of the principle of water or the cohesion, attracts and holds all material and compound things. According to the specific properties of a body, which depend on the composition of the elements, each object with respect to the electric fluid owns certain emanations, the so-called electronic vibrations, which are attracted by the general magnetic fluid of the entire material world. This attraction is called the weight. Consequently, weight is an appearance of the attractive power of the Earth. The well-known attractive power of iron and nickel is a little example, respectively, an imitation of that which is happening in a big measure on our whole Earth. What we understand on our Earth as magnetism and electricity is nothing else but an appearance of the four-pole magnet. For, as we know already, by an arbitrary pole changing, electricity can be obtained from magnetism, and in a mechanical way we get magnetism through electricity. The transmutation of one power into another, properly speaking, is already an alchemistic or magic process, which, however, in the course of time has been generalized so much that it is no longer regarded as alchemy or magic, but is simply ascribed to physics. For this reason, it is obvious that the four-pole magnet can be used also here. According to the law concerning the problems of magnetism and electricity, not only in the body, as mentioned in the foregoing chapter, but also in the grossly material world, each hermeticist exactly knows that what is above is also that which is below. Each adept who knows how to employ the powers of the element, or I've lost my place there for a moment. Each adept who knows how to employ the powers of the element, or the great secret of the tetragrammaton on all planes, is also capable to achieve great things in our material world, things which the outsider would regard as miracles. The adept, however, sees no miracles in them, for backed by the knowledge of the laws, he will be able to explain even the most remarkable curiosity. Everything on our earth, all thriving, ripening, life and death depends on the statements made in these chapters. Hence the adept fully conceives that physic death does not mean disintegration, passing into nothingness, but what we consider as annihilation or death is nothing else but the transition from one stage into another. The material world has emerged from the principle of akasha, i.e. the known ether. The world is also controlled and kept by this same principle. Therefore, it is understandable that it is the transmission of the electric or the magnetic fluid on which are based all the inventions connected with the communication at distance through the ether, such as radio, telegraphy, telephony, television, and all the other inventions to be achieved in the future with the aid of the electric or magnetic fluid in the ether. But the fundamental principles and laws were, are, and will be always the same. A very extensive and exciting book could be written solely about the effects of the various magnetic and electric fluids on the grossly material plane. But the interested reader who has decided to walk onto the path of initiation will not be deterred by the study of the principles. Will find out by himself all about the varieties of powers and properties, the fruits and the insights he earned in the course of his studies will indemnify him amply. Sometimes the language is a little clunky, so let's see how long we'll leave it there and we'll come back for the soul or the astral body in the next one.